I'd like to welcome David Himmelstein. When you're young, David Himmelstein.
A long time ago, my father told me, when you grow up, I hope you have a child who's just like you. He wasn't smiling. And 20 years later, my wife and I welcomed Ethan D. Himmelstein into the world. And you know what? He was a lot like me. He looked like me. He had the same mannerisms as me. We liked sports. We liked the same music. We liked the same Warner Brothers cartoons. But there was one difference. He was young and energetic. Me, not so much. And it was that one little difference. He taught me some lessons about what life is like when you're young. So lesson number one, when you're young, you don't need any sleep. Now, Ethan likes golf, so I get him a tee time, 10 o'clock, Friday morning, middle of May. He's known about it for 6 weeks. So the big day comes, and what does he do? He's out all night partying. He comes in about 6 in the morning. 8 o'clock, I go up to him. Hey, get ready. We got to go in about an hour. 9 o'clock, I see one little toe peeking out of the bed. At 9:30, I see 2 toes peeking out of the bed. At 9:45, he's getting dressed, shaving, and brushing his teeth in the back seat of the car. And I'm telling him, man, you're going to have a long day out there. And he's like, I got this. No problems. And for the first 6 holes, he was right. He was on track to shoot that low 8. And then the 7th hole, he shoots an 8. On the 8th hole, he shoots a 9. On the 9th hole, he shoots a 10. 30 shots in 3 holes. Now, he did what most golfers do when they hit a rough patch. He takes his putter and tries to bury it in the 9th hole, the 9th green. So we have lunch, I calm him down. He shoots a 40 on the back 9. And he was right. Except for that one rough patch, he played 18 holes of golf on about 3 hours of sleep. Lesson number 2. When you're young, there's no limits and there's no boundaries to what you'll think and what you'll do. So one lazy Saturday morning, I go meet him for breakfast at that gourmet establishment, Denny's. And it's busy, but it's not overcrowded, and they seat us. And the tables are real narrow. It's like a table for 2. It's about this wide, and then there's about a foot between the tables. And on this side, there's nobody, and on this other side, there's a guy who's just finishing up his breakfast. So we sit down, we have some casual conversation. The waitress comes by, she puts down a napkin and some silverware. Says, I'll be back. So we continue our casual conversation, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, he says, I want those biscuits, Dad. And I look. And the guy next to us, he finished his breakfast and he left. He left a folded up newspaper and a plate. And there's 2 biscuits floating on a sea of cream gravy. Now the one biscuit is perfectly circular, hasn't been touched. The other one, there's a little bite taken out of it. You can see his dental work and the quality of his dental work. I want those biscuits, Dad. I'm thinking, what do I do? He's not 2 years old anymore. He's a grown man. I can't just tell him he shouldn't be eating other people's food. So I said, hey, I know you're hungry, but I'm sure the waitress will come by pretty soon, so let's just hold out a few more minutes and then we'll order. Things will be good. 15 minutes later, I really want those biscuits, Dad. You've been partying all night, you have bloodshot eyes, his stomach is pounding, you can hear the 1812 overture. God, what do I say? I say, look, the biscuit that he ate from, he says the bacteria from that biscuit has leached into the cream gravy. It's traveled over to the other biscuit. So even though it looks perfectly normal, it hasn't been touched, it's not. It's not hygienic to eat that biscuit. So just hold on a couple more minutes and we'll be good. Okay. So we resume our conversation, and about 3 out of every 4 words has to do with food. Another 15 minutes go by. I really, 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 really want those biscuits, Dad. Now this time it's about noon, and I hadn't eaten since 5 a.m., and I'm thinking, I think I want Toast Biscuits too. So I just muster all the willpower and all the intellectual power I can come up with, and I think, listen, those biscuits are his private property. He paid for them. And even though he's not here, they're his biscuits. And you can't just take his property without him giving you his express permission. You sure about that? Sure about what? Well, about we shouldn't be using other people's property without their permission? Oh yeah, I'm perfectly sure. Why do you ask? How come you're reading his sports section? I was so busted. And that's when I learned lesson number 3. When you're young, never cut your elders any slack. None whatsoever. And I'm Toastmaster.